Welcome to Wild Trout Man, featuring the art, science, adventure, and zen experience of fly fishing. Long live cold, clean water. Long live wild trout. Please help preserve this precious natural resource, and please subscribe to support the channel. Thank you, and enjoy this episode from Wild Trout Man. Welcome to Wild Trout Man, out along one of our favorite little brookie streams. It's the end of February, and it's been a super cold winter. We had a camera in the water here in January. The fish were unbelievably active. Really wanted to get back out here now. It's been even colder since, just continuously, and to see what these fish are doing. We have two branches of a stream that meet here. The right branch is some groundwater, comes bubbling out of the side of the mountain, maybe 75 yards upstream. And that water might be a little bit warmer because it's groundwater. And we have the left branch is surface water, and surprisingly, neither of those streams are as frozen as the main stream. Driving up, checking out the main stream, and wow, this is almost frozen solid in most spots. This stream is still flowing. It's been super cold. Let's see what our super little native brookies are doing in the wintertime here. Let's get a camera in the water and see what happens. All right, here we go. Our amazing little bridge pool here with the culvert. The water is flowing. It looks awesome. I think we're going to get some decent footage of some native brookies here. Can't wait. Where's our little brookies? Look at how this is flowing and not frozen. I haven't seen a trout yet. I'm sure they're hunkered down. But we've got flowing water. Sunny day. I think they're going to be feeding. This is a really nice spot right here that always has trout. I did not see any movement. That's you generally see movement. Very cool how much water is running here. Haven't seen any trout yet. But the little hatchery section is downstream right here. So we got the little plunge pool, and then we got the hatchery in the meadow. All right, got a great little spot here. Always see some trout in this little plunge pool. Got some ice formations, beautiful, beautiful ice formations. Let's get a camera in there and see what we got. So this is the little hatchery section where I always see trout, but didn't see any right now. So the mystery continues. Always learning new things with these trout. So it's a nice sunny day. I'm sure the water's very cold because it's been frigid. But where are the trout? Previously, when I was here in January, I saw them swimming before I put the camera in the water, and that is not the case right now. I do not see a trout. So there's a couple little undercuts here. No trout. God, I wonder if a blue heron came in here and just plucked them all out. Ooh, there we go. There we go. We had a sighting. There you go. That looked like a different fish. There you go. There's another one. Two of them. Two trout right here. This is another really nice long section that I've seen. I'll always see trout here as well. It's a little hard to film them here because it's so spread out. But that's the first sighting. Two definite native brookies just went upstream right there. All right. These amazing old apple tree here. Really beautiful. This meadow here was home to a settler at one time. More apple trees. The old foundation is right in this area here where he had the home. These are his apple trees, and a beautiful meadow, and an amazing, pristine, clean native brook trout stream running through your backyard. That's pretty special. See if we see any trout here. Always trout here as well. Yeah, this is where his home was, right here. Right in this area here. Really amazing. I found a head, old axe head. I'll have to get that on video. Look at these tracks. Cool ice formation. Look at this. Got 2 layers of ice. Got that lower layer on the water, and this layer higher above. I love the ice formations that you see when you're out here. Just really, really special. How the whole science behind how ice forms is phenomenal. All right, looks like we might have ice the entire way down now to the main stream. And maybe it wasn't ice previously because the water was just a little warmer because it was coming out of the side of the mountain. Alright, so right here, if you've seen the previous videos, this is where I found the trout that were alive. There was no water. You can hear it flowing there. There was no water, and these fish were alive for over an hour. Amazing. Right down here is where I found a couple dead ones in the mud. Right around the bend there was more. Oh, check that out. That was a crow and a raptor of some sorts battling up there. Very cool. So right here is where I rescued those 4 brookies that were in that little bowl of water. It was like a plate, an inch deep. There was 4 trout in it. Rescued them and took them down to the main stream. So look at these tracks. These are definitely rodent. You can see the tail. How cool is that? You got that tail pattern there in the snow as well. You got the footprints there, and you got the tail impression. So field mouse, look at these little snow fleas. There's a little critter there. Look at that. Here's one here. That's God, it's almost like a little caddis. A size 50. Right here. Oops. Here's another one. They burrow down into the snow there. It's like a flea. I guess I've heard of snow fleas. That must be what they are. Here's one right here. Wow. Alright, got flowing water. Did rescue a fish here. It's good to see water flowing. We gotta dig that out a little more. And there's always trout around the bend down here as well. This is nice. Added some rock, added some trees in here, added some cover, dug it deeper. Just try to get the stream flowing a little better. The blood going through your arteries and veins. Beautiful. What a glorious day out here. It's supposed to get up above freezing today. It hasn't been. So added some logs here, added those rocks, dug it out, made it more habitable for the trout. All kinds of pottery shards, and you can see throughout here. Always documenting this and all this pottery from the early settlers that were here. Let's see if we got any trout here. Oh, I do find glass as well. Look at this glass. This might be from like the railroad. It's got an L on there. There was a railroad that went up to the ice dam. More cool tracks. Don't see any trout. No, nobody's swimming around. It's a little bit deeper right here. Here's the prime real estate for this section. This is where I saw 2 larger brookies between 8 and 10 inches a couple of years ago, several years ago. Came up here, paired up in this spot, coming up to spawn when there was enough water in the stream in October to get up here. This year there wasn't. It was just one big drought. Had to rescue brookies this year instead. The only fish that spawned in the stream, like you saw in my one video, were fish that were already here. No trout, just in that one spot, just that one spot in the meadow. But look, it's flowing here. That's awesome. So yeah, all of these little channels were stream improvement projects. Were digging it out and helping to move the water along here. So we haven't had much snow. There's not a whole lot of snowpack here. It's not going to be a spring with lots of water unless we get some rain. All these rocks I brought in through the stream just to add cover and more habitat for the trout. Here's the main stream, and there's our holding pool. I was digging that out earlier this year because in the past there was so many trout hanging under that root branch there. That big root ball. There'd be 20, 30 trout, small first and second year fish, just hanging out right here. Nothing right now. It's already starting to fill in. So much sediment. There's a dirt road here, so it brings a lot of sedimentation. Ooh, wow. I just saw, what is that? I bet it's black stonefly. Early black stone, oh, looks like a caddis. Oh, it took off. It had a tent shape to its wings. It might have been a caddis. I didn't get a really great look. Wonderful formations. Alien fingers. Sometimes they look like wine glasses. Little goblets. Goblets of fire. Goblets of ice. I love these formations. Oh man, look at these. Look at the light shining on them. The camera's picking that up, but how beautiful. Stunning. Mother Nature's work of art. There's the Confluence. When I rescued the trout that were in that little teeny puddle, I brought them right here. 4 trout, put them here. They all congregated in this little spot here. Hopefully alive and kicking and growing in size. This is a great holding area for the trout. But so much sedimentation is coming here. So in the spring I'll come back with a shovel and get rid of some of the sedimentation. There's a perfect spot under the tree here. You know, added protection from birds of prey and raccoons and everything from all the predators. Oh yeah, so upstream I found this boot, this leather, the sole of a child's boot, little tiny boot, the sole, while I was digging in the stream. So besides all the pottery that I found that leather boot, the sole of the boot for a child. Just fascinating. You know, what's the story behind that? I still have that. It's a great artifact. There's a library here in the small town that I might donate that to. Just found this double-sided axe head as well. All kinds of formations that have over the, I don't know, it's probably 100 years, have accumulated on the axe head. So I have 2 great artifacts that I can donate to the library in town here. That's the plan. Our Trout Unlimited group, we got a $10,000 Coldwater Heritage grant to monitor this stream with pH and temperature and flow and analysis of the water chemistry. So we have a great grant that was approved, and hopefully it goes through with all these budget cuts that are happening right now. So that's very concerning, but yeah, very exciting to get that. And boy, it's gonna be heartbreaking if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't go through. So where are the trout that were here? Are they buried under a log? Very well could be. There's probably half a dozen trout or more. Probably 8 to 10 trout in this section right here. This section had water through the drought. This is the one section. All that downstream, all that section down there, the water stopped. It stopped like right here. So this pool had water. There was water here. There was like a little puddle here. I think I rescued 2 trout from here. Then there was no water all the way up into apple trees in the meadow upstream. So the trout would just get like tight. Ooh, there's a trout. Just saw one. Cool. That's the third one. Nice. And it was really fascinating on my YouTube channel, obviously what you're watching right now. I had a subscriber come in and talk about the tide pools at the ocean. We had these trout during the drought just getting stuck in these little tiny puddles. An inch of water, a half inch of water. There was, I found those trout alive and no water. How can that possibly be? Well, one of my subscribers on this YouTube channel, my Wild Trout Man YouTube channel, said in the ocean, you got the tide pool, tide comes in, fish get trapped in those little tide pools. The sun's beating down, they're drying up until the next tide comes in. They secrete extra mucus. You always talk about the mucus on the coat on the fish, that you want to be careful when you're handling the fish, that you don't wipe that protective mucus layer off the fish. They secrete extra mucus around their gills and mouth, and they probably keep a little bit of water in that area. You have that mucus covering just to keep some moisture in there, and that's one of the adaptations that they have evolved to survive in drought conditions. Absolutely amazingly phenomenal. In my mind, how are they doing this? They're slowing their heart rate down. They're going into this brook trout torpor hibernation mode to survive. Right now, same thing in the wintertime. It was like, okay, what are these fish doing to survive these ice out conditions? We haven't had actual ice out in the stream, so that's interesting for this particular little brookie stream. The main stream has a lot of ice in certain spots, but how do they survive in this ice, and trying to figure out how they survive during these droughts? And that's that theory, which it's probably been proven for the fish in the ocean. That's something that needs to be studied further here, because it certainly makes sense that to secrete more mucus around their gills, around their mouth, or just around their whole body, to help preserve any moisture that they have, just to try and survive until the next rainstorm hits. And it was a week. I came back a week later, and it was down even lower. So the fish that I rescued would have been dead or in this torpor mode. How long can they survive like that? Maybe a day, maybe half a day, maybe several hours. I don't know. But I was here for over an hour. There was no water in the stream, and those two native brook trout, they were alive. So they had to be doing something, besides slowing their metabolism down, just to keep moisture in. The whole idea of secreting extra mucus around their mouth, around their gills, boy, it certainly makes sense. And if the fish in the ocean are doing that in the tide pools, I'm sure these brookies have adapted to that as well. Just really fascinating. But I love the whole science behind this, and it's absolutely love that. It's love learning and love native brookies, and you're just putting this all together to make it to make sense of it all. And really cool stuff. All right, let's get further upstream and get a water temp and see where we're at here. I love the sound. Some nights I go to sleep listening to that, just the rain, the water flowing, the surf at the beach. I love that. Our beautiful meadow, our beautiful apple trees. Here's where we saw two trout before. Oh, there's one. A little first of the year. There's the evidence. Got some woodpecker action here. Look at these massive holes. That's impressive. Pileated woodpecker. Here are some of the artifacts that I found here. This is the leather boot sole from a child. Look at this. Wow. I found it in the stream as I was digging it out, improving the stream, the habitat for the trout. I found this little sole of a boot, and you'd love to know the story
behind who wore that and where it came from, and the family and the life of that child. And this is a male, big male with just all that corrosion on there now. And again, in the stream bed, found this big old axe head. Look at that. That's got some stories behind it. Amazing. Got some history there, huh? There's our little stream. The right and left branch. So we're gonna get a water temp now. All right, got my thermometer here, and let's take a stream temp. This is the surface water. I would expect it to be a little bit colder than the groundwater, but who knows? What do you think the temperature is? It's February. It's been a brutal, not brutal, but it's been cold. It's one of the coldest winters we've had in quite a while. The ski resorts are happy. Previous several years in a row, there just hasn't been any snow for skiing. We haven't had a lot of snow, as you can see here. Just minimal snow, but very cold. So, water temp. I don't know. I'm going to say 36 degrees. Go with 36. How's that? Let's see what happens. 34 degrees is the air temp. It was 28 when I was coming out. It's going to get warmer today. It's a beautiful day here. Looks like we got 38. 38 degrees stream temp for the left branch. I love this thermometer. I've broken so many thermometers. All those glass thermometers break within the year, within the season, yeah, within a month or two, it's broken. This is a meat thermometer. A&A Outfitters and Blakesley. Gene, so I say, hey, get a meat thermometer. So, and my buddy Will recommended, I believe, this brand. So that combination got a killer thermometer. Man, I've had this thing for years. It's getting hard to see on camera, I'm sure, the numbers. We had 38 degree stream temp, and between 35, around 35 degree air temp. Let's get the other branch and see where we're at there. All right, this little spot, there's always a trout here. That side I just took, that was 38 degrees. I rarely see trout in that side because it has a lower pH. pH isn't as good. This side here bubbles out of the side of the mountain, and we've got some limestone on both sides. Puts the limestone sand down and has a better pH. And there's been a bunch of trout right in this hole right here. So you can see you got, the stream pretty much ends right here. There's never been any trout up this high. So we got two branches. This one dries up. This side here dries up. This is where our main flow is year round. And here's where it starts. Here's the source. Just bubbles out of the side of the mountain. And you can see the limestone sand that I added. This is all limestone sand to help with the pH. And there it comes. Here's where it comes down, the side of the mountain right there. Bubbles out of the side of the mountain here. And you know what, let's do a water temp right here. Cool, right at the source. So we have 38 degrees for the surface water. It's a degree warmer, it's 39 here. 39 degrees there at the source. 1 degree difference in temperature between the groundwater and the surface water. How significant is that? It may be very significant, or it might not be. I'm not sure. But once it gets down, the trout certainly like it a little bit warmer in the wintertime. Like it cold in the summer. This water here comes out of the side of the mountain, so it's cold in the summer and it's a little bit warmer in the winter. And the pH is better as well. So that's why I've always seen more trout on this side of this little brook here. Beautiful stream. God, I love this stream. All right, there's always been a trout here. Let's drop the camera in, see if we can get him. see if you can see them. Look at those ice formations. this guy's still recording. I was concerned that I didn't change the battery, so it might have got that little glacier meltdown, that iceberg falling into the water. I might have got captured that on film. Maybe that might have stirred that brookie around as well. There was one very nice brook trout living in this hole, and I did one of the brookies I rescued. I did bring a second brookie up here, and when I first discovered the stream, there was a half dozen brook trout in this little tiny hole, and it's the furthest upstream I've ever seen any trout. And how amazing that little plunge pool had all those trout that first year when I discovered this place. Not sure if my audio is recording well right now because the camera's just underwater, but I'm gonna go back to the studio, get the camera, check out the footage, see what we got, and whip up another awesome Wild Trout Man video, hopefully, for everyone. So stay toasty, stay warm, stay well. Love you guys. Till next time, Wild Trout Man.